Chris Paul, 191 career net wins, 0 championships, and the most devastating what if in NBA history. The point guard. The point guard retired after 21 seasons with the 16th greatest combined net wins in the database. He never won a championship. He came closest when a hamstring gave out in Game 5 of the 2018 Western Conference Finals, where his team up 3 games to 2. The numbers document one of the greatest careers the sport has ever produced and the injuries that kept it from becoming something more. Thank you for listening to Net Wins. Chris Paul was drafted 4th overall in 2005 by New Orleans Hornets, where he was asked to rescue a franchise in transition when Hurricane Katrina forced the team into a nomadic existence, playing most home games in Oklahoma City. He came 1 vote shy of a unanimous Rookie of the Year selection and spent 6 seasons in New Orleans, building one of the more quietly impressive runs in recent NBA history before the trade machine, the injuries, and the championship window that never quite opened took over the narrative. Over 21 years, Paul stepped away from basketball. The Net Wins Explorer traces all of it. Thanks for listening to netwins.substack.com. Subscribe and visit the database at willf123.github.io/NBA-net-wins. He had 176.5 net wins in the regular season, another 14.5 in the playoffs for a combined total 191, with an average of 8.4 per season, with a peak of 14.7 in the 2008-2009 season. Spent 6 seasons in New Orleans, where his net wins total was 60.2, an average of 10 a season. 6 with the Clippers, where it was 61.5 and an average of 10.3. 2 with Houston, where it was 15.7 and an average of 7.9. And then post-Houston, another 7 seasons, 38.6, an average of 5.5. The shape of the career is unusual. 2 remarkably consistent first acts in New Orleans and Los Angeles, each producing just over 60 net wins across 6 seasons, followed by a sharp drop in Houston when injuries compounded and a long, graceful decline that produced genuine value into his late 30s before the final fade. Feel free to share this with others, as this is a free podcast. The peak between the 2007, 2008, and 2009 seasons are the clearest expression of what Chris Paul was at his absolute best. 14.4 and 14.7 net wins, a total of 29.1, back-to-back at ages 23 and 24. In the 07-08 season, he led the league with 11.6 assists and 2.7 steals per game, finishing second in MVP voting behind Kobe Bryant. The net wins formula rewards Paul's profile aggressively. His assist totals in those seasons, over 900 assists each year, add directly to his net total at a 1-to-1 rate. His steal figures 2.7 to 2.8 per game at hundreds more. His field goal efficiency keeps the field goal miss penalty low, and his free throw percentage between 86 and 87% minimize the free throw miss drain that hurts players who draw fouls but can't convert them. The result's a 2-year window that placed him among the best point guard seasons in the database. For reference, John Stockton's peak season was 12.9. Paul hit 14.7. The difference is real and measurable. Paul's scoring volume combined with his elite creation rate produced a net total that Stockton, for all his efficiency, rarely matched. What made it more remarkable, he was doing it in New Orleans on a franchise still recovering from Hurricane Katrina, playing the games in Oklahoma City, operating in circumstances that would have diminished lesser players. The championship case against Chris Paul comes down to 3 specific injuries at 3 specific moments. The net wins data doesn't record them. The formula only sees the games played, not the ones he missed. But the playoff net win figures of 14.5 total over a 21-year career, averaging less than 1 per postseason run, tells the story implicitly. In 2009-2010, a knee injury cost Paul most of his season, producing only 5 net wins in what should have been his physical prime. The New Orleans window that seemed open in 2007 through 2009 effectively closed when he couldn't build momentum into the 2010-11 season. In 2015, the Clippers, leading the Rockets 3-1, lost Paul to a hamstring injury, and this was in the second round. Houston won 3 straight games to take the series, and that Clippers group, which had finally assembled the talent to compete for a title, never recovered. The Clippers' 3-1 collapse became the template for what would follow. In 2018, in Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals, the hamstring. This is the one. Paul helped the Rockets win a franchise record 65 games in his debut season with Houston and the Western Conference Finals against the Warriors. The Rockets were up 3-2, with Paul playing at 9.2 net wins. Elite production. Right when it mattered. In Game 5, his hamstring gave out. Houston lost Games 6 and 7 without him. The Warriors went to the finals. They won the championship. Paul's 2018 playoff net wins was 2.0, his highest single postseason run. This series he was forced to watch from the bench was the one his team was winning. A championship is one of the very few rewards that escaped him for 2 decades of basketball. The defining organizational fact of Paul's career is how many times forces outside his control directed it. In 2011, the Hornets organized a deal to send Paul to the Los Angeles Lakers, where he would have played alongside Kobe Bryant. The transaction was controversially voided by the NBA, which temporarily owned the team. At the time, he was instead sent to the Clippers. The Clippers era produced the 6 seasons of 8 to 12 net wins, genuinely elite point guard production alongside Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, and a supporting cast that was always just good enough to make the playoffs and never quite good enough to advance past the second round. Paul was spooked by postseason ailments on 3 different occasions, robbing him of chances to secure a championship. Lob said he was among the most entertaining teams of its era and never got what its star deserved. The Phoenix chapter was the closest he came. Paul's leadership emerged and energized an inexperienced Suns team, leading them to the NBA Finals in 2021, Paul's first time making it to championship series. They led 2-0 against Milwaukee. The Bucks won in 6. Paul, then 35, didn't sparkle throughout their series, and his best and last chance for a title vanished. His 2022 playoff net wins 1.4. Paul became the first player in NBA history to lose 5 series in which his team led 2-0, breaking his own NBA record of 4. That's not just bad luck, it's a statistical anomaly so extreme it defines a career. Teams leading 2-0 win series at roughly an 80 to 85% historical rate. Paul's teams did it 0 times out of 5. The inverse probability of that outcome is vanishingly small. The net wins formula can't explain it. The formula measures what happened in the regular season and in the individual playoff games he played. It cannot measure what happened to his team's chemistry when he got hurt or what the absence of the best playmaker in basketball does to an offense that was built entirely around his creation. What it does record is a career of 191 combined net wins, 16th all-time that produced 1 finals appearance in 0 championships. The basketball resume is well documented. The labor resume is less discussed in analytics coverage and arguably just as significant. Paul served as president of the National Basketball Players Association for 8 years, longer than any player in the modern era. During that tenure, he negotiated the 2016 collective bargaining agreement, which produced meaningful salary increases, improved pension plans, and paid health insurance for retired players. He played a central role in hiring Michelle Roberts as NBPA Executive Director, the first woman to lead a major professional sports union in the United States. He helped establish Think 450, the union's for-profit arm, managing group licensing and sponsorship rights for all players, creating a revenue stream that benefits the full player pool rather than just stars. And during the 2020 pandemic, he was the primary player representative coordinating the NBA's bubble return to play protocols, a logistical and political achievement that preserved the season, player salaries, and playoff basketball during conditions no sports league had navigated before. None of that shows up in net wins. The formula measures what happens on the court between October and June, what Paul did in boardrooms and CBA negotiations, and in the bubble conversations that made the 2020 season possible was a second career running parallel to the first, and by any reasonable accounting, equally impactful to the players who came after him. So what is the all-time context? 16th all-time in combined net wins between Stockton, the all-time assist leader he briefly threatened to pass, and Moses Malone. Paul joined Stockton and Jason Kidd as the only players in NBA history with 11,000 assists and became the first player with 20,000 points and 11,000 assists. He was a 2-time Olympic gold medalist in 2008 and 2012 and a 12-time All-Star. The career is not diminished by the absence of a ring. The rings that exist in the database belong to players who had teammates capable of carrying championship weight alongside them. Paul's teammates for most of his career were good but not great. His supporting cast in New Orleans was mediocre. His Clippers teams were always one piece short. His Rockets pairing with Harden was the closest thing to a true co-star he ever had, and then his hamstring gave out. The irony is that Paul, Stockton, Malone, Barkley, and Ewing, five of the great players without rings, placed on a team together would perhaps win multiple titles. The formula agrees, the championship didn't. The NetWins formula and all written content are original works, all rights reserved. Once again, I invite you to subscribe at netwins.substack.com, and I thank you for your time.